All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome you to our progress, where we infuse purpose, invigorate minds, and ignite change. Uh, Before we kind of get into introduction and everything like that, I do want you to do this for me. If you are coming on, definitely share this with somebody. Or share the link as we get ready to start, because I think it's going to be a very important conversation, an impactful conversation for everybody. So please do that for us as you come on, share it with different people so they can be in the conversation. So the topic today is wake up. And once we do the introduction, I'll kind of expand on that. I am Terrence Johnson, the life excavator.
I'm Kendrick Taylor, the life doctor.
And I'm Jeffrey Hart, the life champion.
All right. So just to give an introduction into it, I pulled these two things. One is a quote, and then one is like our post from this morning. So I start off here. So it says, "You did not wake up today to be mediocre." And what I wanted to talk about from that standpoint is nothing about you yourself is mediocre or just run of the mill. So each one of us has greatness within us, but we're so conditioned to try and fit in with everybody else that we strip away what's unique about us and impactful about us, and we just live a real bland life when we weren't really supposed to, or we weren't built for that. And so a lot of times we compare ourselves to other people, but in that comparison we lose what's actually the best parts of ourselves, and we condition ourselves to always seek out validation from other people when we're the only ones that truly know us, because we pretty much live with ourselves day to day. And so who else better to be the expert on you but you? uh and this quote here, it says, "One day you will wake up and there won't be any more time to do the things you always wanted. Do it now." So that goes into the topic with wake up. A lot of us have been asleep on our purpose for so long that life is passing us by. And if we don't wake up now, the very things that we're really passionate about doing will pass us by. But also the opportunities that are open for us right now, they will soon close if we keep comfortable under our nice warm blanket of comfort zone. And if you just sleep on your potential for the rest of your life, what type of life would that lead you into versus if you really got up, got started, and really went toward the very thing that you really wanted? How would that look? So that was kind of like my intro. I kind of let y'all jump in and then we'll kind of continue the conversation.
So when I hear the word wake up, I was messing with Terrence and Jeffrey before we, got on live, and I picture, for people that seen Do the Right Thing, Samuel L. Jackson waking up everybody on the radio in the morning.
Mhm.
I think about this person I listen to online, Wake Your Successful Self Up. I think that's Felix Anderson. And so wake up, just means, hey, you need to pull yourself together to do things that inspires you or motivates you or really drives you or helps you connect with your purpose. Because we talk about everybody has a purpose, but not everybody's walking in their purpose.
Mhm.
So wake up, meaning the time is now. Don't continue to put off what you've been compelled to do, because the longer you prolong the process, the longer it stretches you thin, and keeps you from connecting and doing the great things that you were designed to do.
Okay, so like what you were just saying there about stretching yourself thin. So if somebody like in this situation right now, how does that feel like emotionally or just holistically? How does that feel kind of being stretched thin and not really walking in your purpose?
I mean, it could be you could feel fatigued, lethargic. Um, man, you could be anxious. You could be overwhelmed. Frustrated. Agitated. But it also, um, the things that you're doing, you never get fulfilled or satisfied, or what you're doing doesn't bring meaning or value to you.
Hmm.
So you could just be going through the motion, and you're not accomplishing things by your standards. You know? So you don't get that sense of fulfillment, or you're not connected to the work that you're doing.
Yeah, I like the part what you said about standard, and I think that's important for people. Another way to frame it, and I think what keeps people stuck is that they don't have a set of principles that they live from,
Mhm.
and because they don't have a set of life principles, then that's when they stop going toward their purpose because they don't have some foundational to keep striving toward. So like if personal growth is one of your life principles, you know when you're not doing that and you know you need to make an adjustment for that. But if people not aware of what their life principles are, they can allow other people to tell them what they are, and then they'll be operating from somebody else list of principles and not their own.
Yeah,
And that's a good point.
yeah, yeah. Because a lot of people gonna tell you what you're good at doing
Right,
based on what they want you to do for them, or
right.
based on what benefits them. Well, I say that again. A lot of people tell you what you're good at doing based on what it represents for them. And just because you're good at it doesn't mean it feeds you.
Right. Right. You had something, Jeff?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. You're talking about life principles. How do you go by figuring out what your life principles are?
Well, I think kind of like what Kendrick was saying, your life principles are things that feed you. So, like for me, it might be creativity, or it might be um like personal growth, or lifelong learning. That might be a principle of mine because I do like to learn a lot about different things. So that's something that I know I got to feed myself on, but I can use that to filter the opportunity that come my way. So if it's not a opportunity for me to grow, it might look good and sound good, but it doesn't fit with my principles. Like, nah, it's not gonna work for me. I think the way to start to establish them, if you don't have them already, is to go backtrack, and you can do it through like career, or you can do it through school, or whatever kind of track that you want to go back to, and pinpoint, okay, what did I enjoy about school? What did I enjoy about this job and that job? And then you can start to identify things like, okay, I know I like to be in front of people. I like to talk to people. So maybe one of my life principles is like connection. And like that's one of mine is like connection with other people. I like to meet new people and connect and hear and learn from people. Like that's a big thing for me. So I know if I'm not doing that, then I'm out of alignment because that's a core principle for me is to connect to different types of people. I don't know if I answered your question or not. Did that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, like I didn't know. So, but yeah, I think that's a good thing, and it's also so if you are thinking about it, it's a good book, but it's a big book, so everybody probably not gonna want to read the whole thing, but you could probably get like a summary of it or different things. But it's a book called Principles by Ray Dalio, and that's really he talks about that whole principle. Well, principles, that is the name of the book, but he talks about it, how he uses it in life and in business. And so he got like business principles and life principles and how he integrated them. So, but it's a big book. So yeah, but you can find some YouTube stuff on it.
Yeah.
I
That's what I
give
was
you,
gonna say. That's the guy we was watching. That was Puff Daddy's kind of mentor,
yeah,
right?
mentor, yeah. But he also had like an animated, like 20-25 minute video of principles of the book. So
Yeah.
if you don't want to read the whole book, you can go to his YouTube channel and watch that animated clip, and it really kind of sum it up for you real.
And we'll post his name in the comment section later on, so
Yeah,
people
yeah, yeah.
check him out as well. But now, as you were talking about people life principles, and then you was talking about how Ray Dalio was talking about personal principles and business principles.
Mm.
So at some point, do they start to kind of overlap or go together, or is it good to always keep them separated?
Well, for I think they kind of merge at certain points, but basically the whole concept of what he's talking about is that we have ebbs and flows in life. And so it's not like you strive to reach a pinnacle. Like that pinnacle only leads you back to another valley and then back to another pinnacle. And so you continuously do this up and down motion throughout your life. And it's not that you trying to get to one point and say, like, I reached it. It's just like each point leads you to another point. And so you just continually do that back and forth where you're on the top of the mountain and then you're trying to get back up another peak. And so just that continuous progression towards growing and being better instead of saying like, okay, once I get that, then I'm done.
Yeah.
And the other piece is, as you do that and better yourself, it's gonna be people that's gonna connect to you that you can now show them how to do that same pattern too.
All right. So I wrote down, know the purpose of the valleys and mountaintops in your life,
Mm-hmm.
because that's when we talk about progress. Our first logo was the steps,
Mm-hmm.
steps to the mountaintop. But you got to start at the bottom of the steps, and that's the valley.
Yeah.
In order to get to the top. And so in life, that's what we want to remind people. Just because you get to the top doesn't mean you're going to stay there. You got to understand that you're going to come back down. And coming back down helps you understand the purpose of why you were there.
Mm-hmm.
If you stayed there, you're going to get complacent. And then you'll fall.
Yep.
But if you know already that it's a time frame, hey, I'm meant to go here, but I got to come back. Because coming back down kind of informs your process or purpose for going back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just like what you were saying, for not staying on the peak, you can't stay on the peak because you getting up there to the peak wasn't the end goal. What the real reward from the whole process was your ascent and what you learned to get up. And then once you get to the peak, you bring in that knowledge back down with you. And then that's to give it to somebody else that's getting ready to go up the same mountain you just came down from. So it's like every time you come back down, you got to give that to somebody else that's coming on the other side of the mountain.
You know what this reminds me of? And I don't mean to take it here, but
Talking about the song, Rough Side of the Mountain.
now it's taking me to Moses.
Okay.
He had to go to the mountain.
Yeah.
He got instructions, and then he came back down.
Yeah.
And then the purpose of going up was to get the instructions, but he had to come back down.
Yeah.
Give it to everybody. And tell them the purpose of the instructions.
Yeah. Okay. So I got another layer to that too. So that also goes into, as the higher you go up, the less people you have around you. So in order to really get what you need from the peak, you got to be alone in order to come back down to inform the people that now need the knowledge that you gain. So it's like you got to get to the high point or the high place, and that's really just you just being there to yourself. But it giving you the opportunity to download or to learn or to digest what you need to come back down to then share that what you learn.
No, that's good. Making my notes.
Look, so you look as you saying it, I'm getting pictures and stuff. So go up to the
So
floor.
let me ask you this.
Go ahead,
Let
Jeff.
me ask you this. So, we talked about, potential and all that before. So, and talking about your valley and peaks. So, would you say that you are at your 100% potential when you're in the valley? Before you start your ascension, and then once you reach, your peak, you kind of reach your potential, but then you have to come back down to a different set of, potential to go back up. If that kind of makes sense.
No, it's a good question. I'm trying to figure out how to answer.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I like that analogy.
Okay, so let me break it down. All right, so first you start off with the valley, saying that the valley was where you reached 100% potential.
Now, that's where you start out with your 100% potential.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where you start out at.
Yeah.
Then you say you gain more. Is that what you were saying?
No, I was saying, I was asking, like, are you at 100% potential? Because, you're looking at, the word potential, it's like you haven't done anything yet, but you have the capabilities to do it. So
Okay,
what I'm saying is, like, once you at your bottom, is that the place of your 100% potential?
Yeah.
And as you start to go up, and start doing things,
Yeah.
Well,
I know why you like that.
Okay, so I think the way to answer it is, I don't know if that's where you have 100% potential. I'm trying to figure out the word I want to say instead of potential. I think, okay, this way I want to frame it. I think in the valley you're at 100% opportunity, so you have the opportunity to go up. The 100% potential, you go towards that by choosing to go up and go through the process of scaling something to get to a peak. But then as you come down, you going into the next level of opportunity and potential. Did that make sense?
So I guess, so basically what you're saying is, essentially you have 100% opportunity and potential at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then you just have to go up and,
Yeah, it's a choice. It's a choice, but it's like you learn more about your potential going up. Because if you stayed in the valley, you wouldn't know your potential. But you got the opportunity. You got all the opportunity in the world while you're in the valley, because you can go up this peak, up that peak, up that peak. You choose which mount. Well, you choose or don't choose to go up.
Yeah.
And that's the opportunity. But once you choose one to go up, now you maximizing your potential, because going up is going to require you to do something different and to grow in order to get to that peak. And then once you get to the peak, then you come back down into a new set of opportunities that you choose or not to choose to then go up and build more of your potential.
Yeah. But I know why Jeffrey asked it that way, because potential is kind of it's almost like what we have the ability to do, but everybody that has potential don't mean they're gonna reach it. Because
Right.
some people, the reason he was asking about the potential at the bottom, because as people go up, they start hitting the struggles or the hurdles, and some people quit, and so and then they don't get to the top, and then so they don't get what they need at the top, but they also don't understand the purpose of the bottom either, and so that's kind of what we from the stuff we was looking at the other day about being lost.
Yeah.
People, they don't get to the top because they stop in the middle or
Mm-hmm.
lost, and it's not because they're lost from a physical standpoint. They don't understand the purpose of
Yeah.
their gifts in their process.
Yeah. No, that's good. So it just made me think about another part of what Jeffrey was saying. So the importance of that, the valley experience, is the preparation. And so the people that don't fully prepare in the valley, they get stuck on the ascent to the peak, because that goes into like equipping yourself with the tools that you're gonna need. So like if you know going up, and like I said, it's gonna be things that's gonna be outside of your control, but if you one, and then go back to like the principles, if you have a certain core set of principles, those as well as your preparation will help you go up the mountain to the peak. But if you don't have anything that's guiding you, and then you didn't prepare for it either, then it's easy to get distracted by, oh, I didn't plan on this, and oh, I thought I was gonna have a lot more, and then I don't have food, and this weather crazy, and I ain't got nowhere to stay like I thought I was, and all that kind of stuff. And then that'll make you retreat back down. You're like, look, it's cool down here in the valley. I'm fine. Like I know what stuff is down here.
Yeah,
And so I think that goes to that too.
yeah, and that's also why people forget who they are too.
Yeah.
It goes back. If you've overcome one obstacle and hurdle, then you can overcome another obstacle and hurdle. But a lot of time, people let their, they see their problems as bigger than things that they've overcome. So if you've overcome one big thing, you can overcome any big thing, but you got to trust the process, and you got to trust who got you through that process.
Yeah.
So we get distracted and forget who got us through things, and then that's why we don't have that muscle memory ingrained in us. Because
Mhm.
a person that's constantly overcame things, they got muscle memory and they understand, well, this is how I did it this time. Let me go back to what I know. But we
Right.
get distracted and we forget our source of strength and our source of where things come from. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's like we gotta relearn it every time instead of just following the same plan.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were talking, what I wrote down was we forget our victories, and I think that's important because every stage of our life is a battle, and if you don't understand the victories that you've had, then how can you prepare for the next battle? Because you're gonna have another one, but if you didn't use what you learned from previous ones, then you're gonna continue to have the same one.
Yeah,
Uh, and the other thing I was gonna say with that, what you were saying for what you focus on, and it made me think about it. It's a saying, and I've heard it throughout my life, but I really thought about it a lot differently. Like yesterday, when you hear, what you see is what you get. Well, that goes into your focus. So what you're looking at is what you're gonna get back. So if you focusing on everything that's bad, then that's what you're gonna get back. But if you focusing on like your future or your progression or your growth or whatever like that, you're gonna have more of it. So it's
yeah,
like what you see is what you're gonna get back. So if you don't like what you getting back, then change what you looking at.
yeah. And then I wanted to give people some examples of battles. So, people can battle depression, they can battle anxiety, they can battle substance abuse issues, they can battle trauma, they can battle, gambling addiction. People can battle anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anything that you're, you feel like you're being pulled or torn, with can be a battle or a struggle. And so, what we have to learn, to understand is, that purpose of what we're going through,
Mm-hmm.
and remind ourselves on how we've, overcame things in our history. So like I said, history is your best teacher
Mhm.
because it's their facts and they tell you what you've done or they tell you what you've gotten right when you overcame something. And so, we can quickly look and remind ourselves, or we could do the mirror test and remind ourselves. But I think that's what people are guilty of not doing. They don't look at their history and they don't remind themselves. They
Yeah.
get stuck in their circumstances and, like you said, not their victories or the things they defeated.
Hmm. Yeah. I said it's just been a good conversation already. It's been good already. Uh, but one other piece I wanted to move into with the wake up is when did identifying when denying your purpose became your normal. Uh, because I think it's a turning point that people have in their life where they know a little bit about what they are really like called or led or compelled to do as far as life purpose, but some either diverts their attention or happens or something else or somebody says something that kind of derails that. And so like I think that's important for people to start to go back and really think, okay, what thing, event, person, what was that turning point for me? Uh that really changed how I saw my purpose or made me disconnect from it.
Mhm.
Because I think it's heavily influenced by external variables instead of internal.
Yeah,
So some externally happens, and then internally we shut it down for ourselves. And I think that's a good point for people to start to think about is if you really feel like it got to be something more to life than what you living right now. And I know a lot of people are there because I've been in this. I think I've been in this situation like, and that's
yeah,
part of the wake up part too. It's harder to wake up when you know you're waking up to something that you know you're not supposed to be doing.
yeah,
And that makes waking up almost like,
Groundhog Day.
yeah, well, that too, but it is like you would rather just put the covers back over your head instead of even like, you know, when you really don't want to wake up and get up out the bed, it's like it take a whole like 15-step process. Like, okay, I got the covers off, and then I kind of sit up, and then I might slide my feet out to the side of the bed. Then I might slide down and get to the floor, and then I might sit there for like it take a whole process to just get up when you really don't enjoy what you're doing. But if you connect it to what you're really supposed to, not even supposed to, like as like task driven, but what you really were created to do, no alarm doesn't have to wake you up to really do anything at that point
Yeah,
because the connection to your purpose is gonna drive you to get up every day.
yeah. All right, so I wrote some down. I want y'all to check it out.
Okay.
So, as we were talking about waking up,
Mm-hmm.
I wrote down in order to wake up,
Mm-hmm.
your voice has to be the loudest
Yeah.
and the most dominant in your life. I
Mm-hmm.
repeat it. In order to wake up, your voice has to be the loudest and the most dominant in your life. And that applies to every person.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's voice should be more dominant in your life besides your own, minus Lord. So you
Mm-hmm.
gotta listen to the Lord for direction, but your voice should be the most dominant human that you're listening to. Because if you're operating from somebody else's voice, then you're not operating from your purpose. You have to operate from your voice. They have to operate from their voice. They
Mm-hmm.
got to make decisions based on themselves, and you have to make decisions based on yourself. And if you don't do it, you will never give yourself justice. and you will never walk fully in your purpose because you're still looking external instead of
Mhm.
within.
Yeah, that's good.
So,
Anybody want
well,
you want to tell?
well, I had something else before that popped
Okay.
up.
Okay.
So, Ken, you were talking about, when you wake up, your voice, has to be, the most dominant.
Mhm.
Well, what if it's, not telling you the right thing, even though it is the most dominant voice, but it's leading you, down the wrong path.
So that'll go back to I think one of our conversation we had about a month, 6 weeks ago. Then it's the wrong voice. We a lot of times we take on dominant voices in our lives from other people because we hear it so much. So, like for instance, growing up, we hear our parents' voice all the time, and we sometimes make decisions based on our parents' way of doing it instead of our own way of doing it. And so, I would say to somebody like that, sometimes they have to rediscover their voice to know if they're operating for themselves. Because if it's taking you wrong, then it's not truly your voice.
All right. I had something to add. I writing and can't even talk. So that to add to that, I was gonna say every voice is not qualified for your purpose.
Say it again.
Every voice is not qualified for your purpose. What I mean by that is a person's voice should be connected to experience.
Mhm.
And if the person's voice that is speaking to you hasn't gone either where you're trying to go or further than where you're trying to go, then they're not qualified to be a voice for you
Yeah.
because they can only inform you of their sight and what they've experienced. But if what you're trying to do is outside of that, nothing that they tell you will be able to relate to your purpose.
Mhm.
And that's when you're going to get frustrated because you're going to try and make people understand your purpose. They can't see further than where they've been.
Yeah. And I put it in context from a job standpoint. One of my first jobs, out of college, I worked at a college counseling center, and I love working with the students, but I hated the additional duties that came with it because I had to do a lot of outreach in areas that wasn't my passion. Now,
Mm,
these things turned out to be really good, but man, I was spending a lot of time doing stuff that I wasn't connected to doing.
yeah.
And I was telling Terrence because like I said, it happened, so I don't mind sharing it. Like I was coordinating programs that was highly visible and brought a lot of you know um good publicity to my
Mm,
boss. But man, I was going around town buying shoes.
mm-hmm.
I was shopping for shoes at like 20 different stores. I'm like, what am I doing? This has absolutely nothing to do with what I'm interested in. It was from the dominant voice of my boss. So I was like, okay, this is what a good worker is supposed to do. So I was operating from the voice of a good worker in my mind based off what my boss wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I was never fulfilled. And so I had to, leave positions like that to find what I wanted to do.
Yeah. All right. So to add, go back to what Jeff was saying, I'm gonna give another point to that. The other point to that, as far as like the dominating voices, is the voices that you do listen to have to fulfill your life principles. So if they don't fit into your core principles, then you know that that's a way to filter it out too. Because people that's telling you good things should it should be with like-minded people. So as they're talking, it's connecting or confirming something that you already been thinking about or
Yeah.
you had an idea about. And so they just reinforcing that instead of trying to steer you towards something that they might want you to do or associate you with just because it serves them.
Yeah.
The people that you know voices you can trust, their voices enhance what you're trying to do and support it instead of take your focus away from it.
Yeah.
And
And then
okay,
it
I don't
feels
want.
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was just saying it feels natural to you. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it's like perpetual motion just keep going.
yep.
When you walk, when you operate out of your voice, that's what it's like. It's like perpetual
Mhm.
motion, keep going and going. When you operate out of somebody else's voice, it's forced.
Yep, yep, yep. So I wanted to go back to the comment, and so when I saw it, what I thought about was, your gifts make room for you, and that just in the walk of purpose, it is you gonna get used by people. It's just gonna happen. It happened to all of us.
Yeah.
But
Know
there
what you about-
comes a time, huh?
I said, I know what you're about to say.
No, I ain't gonna go into it. But there comes a time where it switches to where those losses that you think you had really position you for the win of being connected to the work that you were really called to do. So you had to experience that to really operate in your gifts from a real humble place, because a lot of people are very gifted, but they're real arrogant too. And so it's harder for people to connect to your purpose when you think your purpose is all about you. But when you realize that you're just kind of like a conduit or vessel for the gift, then it's easier for you to be in a more servant type role with your gift, because it's built to give to people, but it's going to be mechanisms connected to it that allow you to prosper from it, and not just financially, but that's what it means by your gifts will make room for you. If you operate from your gifts the way you're supposed to,
Yeah.
they will make room for you. They will All the things that you have built within you will allow you to prosper if you treat them and do it in the right way.
Yeah. No, that's good. And then I stole this from somebody else, and
Okay.
Terrence and Jeffrey know who I stole it from.
Yeah.
Money is the cheapest part of us that people typically take advantage of,
Yeah.
and we gotta be okay with losing that. And so, if people, take advantage or profit off of you, then that's gonna be the cheapest part of you. They lose. One thing that you never let people take from you, you don't let them take, don't let them take your gifts,
Hmm.
steal your gifts. Um, don't let people, you know, take away your foundation or your principles, because that's what governs you, that what drives you, and those are the things that sustain you. And and then don't give people what you can't afford to lose.
Hmm.
Don't give people what you can't afford to lose. And I use the word give. Don't give people what you can't afford to lose. Because everything you give is a gift. So
Hmm.
don't be afraid to lose something that you give, because that's just your gift to them.
Yeah.
You know. So don't mind it. Don't sweat it. Be okay with it, because that's your gift to them, and that's your gift to what you're gonna give the world to.
Hmm. And to add to what you were saying, don't always give with the expectation of it being reciprocated. I think a lot of people get stuck because what they gave out to somebody, it wasn't given back to them in the same way. And then that was their justification of not doing it again.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's good.
so like just and I've had to learn this over time. Where you sow doesn't necessarily mean that you'll reap it from the same location.
Yeah.
but all you were uh, kind of charged to do was to sow. Now,
Yeah.
how you would get that back may not come back to you the way you gave it, and it probably won't come back from the person that you gave it to, but it will come back. And if you learn to be, and I don't want to say detached, but you removed from how the blessing will come back to you, and you just focus on doing.
Yeah.
If you focus on doing and operating in the gift, you don't have to be worried about how it's gonna work.
Yeah. And then the other
So
part,
is that the best way to keep from getting used? Is to focus on just doing the doing
see,
the work?
that's what I was about to answer right there.
Yeah. Well, I think the other part too is keeping your, just like what you see,
Mm,
focus on the people that actually need your gifts instead of people that just want it.
yeah.
I'll say
And
that
then,
again. I'll say that again.
Yeah, say that again.
I'll say that again. Focus on the people that need your gift instead of people that just want your gift. It's a lot of people that want what you got, but they don't need it. And those are the people that drain you from actually giving and serving the people that actually need what you got.
yeah.
And so
And then,
you have to have discernment about that, because if you got a real heart for people, you want to try and help everybody, but everybody's not meant for you to help. But there are specific people that are put in your midst for you to be a blessing to, but you can't do that with people that always you can't do that with people that always want you to take their medicine for them.
yeah. And
So you can't, people expect you to do the things to heal them when they can do that for themselves. And so, like, I can't take Kendrick medicine, Jeffrey medicine for them. Like, if they coughing and I'm taking their medicine, that ain't gonna do nothing for them. So they got to take their own medicine to improve their own situation, and that's the same with our gifts too. It's certain people that just got to take their own medicine, and we can't feel obligated to save everybody.
And then the other part to waking up is that um, we don't, we shouldn't give, or we don't know the purpose of our giving if we're giving for people to give us appreciation
Right,
and for people to tell us thank you.
right.
Because if you are, you're going to be disappointed in how often you don't receive that.
Hmm.
So if you get distracted by waiting on people to say they appreciate you and that they thank you for what you've done, then you don't know the purpose of your giving. The purpose of your giving is to give freely of your gifts and be okay after that. Because if you're waiting, like Terrence said, for something reciprocal, you're gonna be disappointed 90% of the time.
Hmm.
Setting yourself up, for more distractions because you're gonna be saying, why have I always done these things and helped people, but I don't receive anything back? Because you had to learn, you got to keep going through that cycle until you learn to listen that that's not why you give. You don't give to receive anything back. And receive anything back is a thank you or appreciation. That's a part of your purpose.
Hmm. Yeah. And then to add to what Kendra was saying, if you're not careful and if you're in that cycle of feeling like people don't appreciate you, you will start to internalize that and then feel that you are not, your value is lesser. And so then that's when you have a lot of self-doubt and you have a lot of self-hatred towards yourself, because you've allowed how other people treat you to now infiltrate you, and now you're feeling worse about yourself because you feel that all you have to give is connected into how people appreciate or verbalize how much they enjoy you. And you, because you've been living off of that, when people start not to give you that, then you would then start to internalize that as being, oh, was something wrong with me? And if we have to live off of the appreciation of other people, like that will keep us in a situation where it feels like we're always in lack, because people can't build. It's not enough that people can say to build us up. We have to build ourselves up, and whatever good things that people have to say, that's kind of like extra. It's like, oh, okay, cool, that's nice, but we can't rely on that to fuel us to get us to go into our next phases of life, because there's gonna be points in time where it's nobody saying anything about us or around us or any good job or whatever like that. So you have to have some kind of base level of appreciation for yourself. So then you kind of have some reserve. So it's like you have to have like a kind of like we were talking about before. Remind yourself of the victories that you already had. So maybe you need to sit down and write all the good things that you have done. So when you have bad days, like, oh man, yeah, I did do that. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm somebody. I did something. I did something with myself.
So basically, what you're saying is you gotta know yourself whether or not you're doing a good job or not, and appreciate yourself versus waiting on somebody else to tell you that you're doing a good job or whatever.
Yeah, because if you wait for people to validate you, you just be you just be a collection of bones. You know how like the little skeleton, like that's what all of us be. We just be wasting away. We wait on everybody else to appreciate us.
You set the parameter on it, so you define, that, but a lot of people struggle with it. A lot of former athletes struggle with that because a lot of what they did was performance based.
Yep.
Think about the systems like on team. You see a lot in on college teams when they do certain things good, they got the change that they get, or they get little patches on their helmet to it letting them know that they did a good job. So they want to keep doing a good job. So their work is based on what they bring to the table or what they can offer. And so if everybody's work is only what you can offer and only what you bring to the table, but what happens when you don't bring anything to the table, then what your work defined on?
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you learn what your work is really about, is when you have nothing. That's when you have to set the tone and redefine what work means. Because in the past, work came from what you brought to the table. But that's not what work is about. Work has nothing to do with what you bring to the table. Your work has everything to do with how you see yourself.
Right.
And you seeing yourself has nothing to do with a table.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a visual aid that we tell people, hey, you can visualize a table. What do you put on the table? You put some bread on the table, you put some meat on the table, but that don't define your work.
Mm-hmm.
Your work is how you see yourself, and that is the engine that drives you to purpose. Work.
See that was good. So you blazed on through it, but I'm gonna bring it back because the table was good. That was good. And I think that could be a whole live there. But I think there's a good point about, because a lot of people are so concerned about what they bring to the table as like, like you're saying, like for as food or abilities or whatever, like you bring to the table, but it's not really about that. It's about, am I fully bringing myself into whatever situation?
Yeah.
And not that get you out of performance base, because it's going to be times where you're not going to perform to the same level. And just like with circumstances now, a lot of us are in transition from a very fast-paced type of life into slowing down, because the performance level that we used to have, we can't really have right now.
Yeah.
And for most of us, that's a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But now we have to redefine, okay, who am I versus what do I do? And a lot of times that's what we, especially men, that's what we define ourselves as, like, okay, I'm this, I'm that, I work here, I have this kind of car, we live here in this, neighborhood or whatever, and it's all about the external stuff.
Yeah.
But what about you? Like, who are you now? What do you do?
Yeah.
And that's a division that people really don't know how to even explain. Like, they're like, oh, I am what I do. No, you're not. What you do is what you do, but who you are is who you are.
Yeah.
They two separate things.
Yeah, there's
Uh,
multifaceted.
huh?
I said there's multifaceted than who you
Yeah,
are.
yeah. And so I think that's why for some people work is so important because they don't know who they are separate from that, and
Yeah.
they put so much stock into it. And I ain't even gonna get into that because they're gonna take me somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna stop there right there before I go.
Well, hey, I'm glad you stopped because I was just about to ask you how do you separate the two? You know,
I'm about to
so
give you, hey,
Well,
I'm about to give you an alley hoop and then I'm gonna shut up. 'Cause
okay,
you-
all right, go ahead, go ahead.
you and Jeffrey, to take it from there.
Mm.
The most important person at the table, or the most important thing at the table, is you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's 5 people at the table and each one of them see themselves as important and they more important than what's on the table, it's 5 people that know their worth and their value. Now it's on YouTube. I'm stepping back, set it up. Alley.
Well, the way I would say it, and it kind of comes from just when I was teaching, and what I would tell my students is that in order to know you outside of what you do, you have to know your own strengths and your own personality. Now you can bring that into your work, but know that just work won't fully fulfill you. You have to have things outside of that that give you the energy to do your work, but then you can go back to, some people is, exercise, you got CrossFit, you got all these different types of things that you do for like self-care. Other things may be things you do only for yourself because some things are not meant for you to do through work. Some things are just for you to do just for you. And if you don't have those things, it's easy to be just the work version of you because you don't have anything outside of that. That's, you have some people that did, well, I don't know about now because, well, some people are going back to the office, but, some people just live there at the office and they always working because they don't have a separate side to themselves. Work is them and they are work, but it's hard to sustain that over time because what you'll realize, you'll get 10, 15, 20 years in and you look up and you're like, I haven't lived. I just worked all this time and I didn't do anything I really wanted to do. I didn't go anywhere. Like I didn't travel. I didn't do all this stuff. I just worked. And that's a unfulfilled life. Just because you work and you're successful at work doesn't mean that you're fulfilled.
Yeah.
Because you need more than just work to be fulfilled in your life. So I don't know if I answered or not.
Good.
But we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. About balance or whatever. You have to have a balance. Between work and play, basically.
Right.
Because what's the saying? All work and no play.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I know what you're saying. I can't remember all that.
Yeah, I don't remember the rest of it. I know that part, but
yeah, I know what you're saying.
But yeah, you have to have, like you said, there's a time to work and essentially there's a time to play because your play, energizes you. So, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, I'm trying to see if we got another point because I know how I want to close it out, so I'm trying to save that for when we close out. Ken, you got anything else?
Nah, I was gonna reiterate the questions you asked. How many things do we solely do for ourselves? And that's for everybody to answer. And if you have trouble answering that question, then you know where you need to start.
And 9 times out of 10, if you can't answer that question, you pretty frustrated.
Oh, say that again.
Now I said if you can't answer that question, more times than not, you are frustrated with
Mm-hmm.
your life at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, that was good because that then goes into your own. It goes into your ownership of yourself, and so we're all responsible for ourselves first. And I think when the focus goes so much into other people, then we can't fully be present with anybody if we're not present with ourselves first.
No,
And
that's good. Don't worry about that one. I just retyped it.
you just retyped it again. Okay. Oh, you just changed it a little bit. Okay. All right, Jeffrey, you got something else?
No, man. Now go ahead.
All right, good. So this wasn't mine, but I'm gonna give credit to Keon Henderson. But he said something, and then we've been sharing it. I shared it with Jeffrey and Kendrick. He's been doing some tackle to text video, and it's if you not familiar with Keon Henderson,
Check him out.
you need to get familiar with him because he is
He's the real deal.
he's doing some great things. But am I am I breaking up?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
breaking up a little bit.
Seems like I'm slowing down
Yeah,
a
you,
little
you
bit
you breaking up a little bit.
on my end.
You good?
Am I?
Yeah, you still breaking up. I'll tell him what you said. So if you hadn't checked out Keon
I
Henderson,
can't
definitely
tell
check
him.
him out.
But anyway,
Um,
I'm gonna try and get through this before my computer comes. What he said was, and this is what I about it with.
yeah, till you learn.
There'll be some good stuff, man.
So, so Terrence computer froze up, and so what we'll have him do is type in the information that he was gonna share with you, and then we'll share, kind of the author or originator of what he was gonna say, so some of our viewers can check him out if they're interested in checking him out. But another great discussion today. We definitely appreciate all y'all checking in, and Terrence is changing his location, so he might be back on before we finish. He might not be, but like Terrence said earlier, definitely share this with at least 5 to 10 people. Wake up. Wake up means different things for different people. Because whatever you're in a trance from, or whatever in a daze from, that's what you need to wake up from. All right, Terrence is back. I don't know if he is about to say it, but yeah, whatever you need to wake up from, definitely use this, live as a reference point and share with other people. And like I said, if you need more things from us, you know where to contact us on our website or on our Facebook page, and you can leave us an inbox message. We definitely can get you where you need to be. I think Terrence is good right now. You back, Terrence?
Is it on? I can see
Yeah.
myself.
Okay, I
I
hear
think I'm
you.
good now. Am I good?
Yeah, you
Okay.
good.
All right. So, all right. This is what I want to leave y'all with. Man, my computer, obviously, I'm not gonna let the computer defeat me today. So what I wanted to leave y'all with is something that Keon Henderson said. I know Kendrick kind of gave y'all the background to him, but what he said was, and this is my thought for today for you. You don't know yourself well enough to doubt yourself yet. So whatever it is that you want to do, you feel like you maybe lost time or traction or motivation for it, you don't even know your full potential yet. So you can't even tell yourself what you can't do. So that's my note. So I had to say that. I wasn't gonna let the computer defeat me. I was gonna get that out. So
say it one more time, man.
Okay, all right. So I'll say it one more time. All right. So you don't know yourself well enough to doubt yourself. So whatever it is that you want to do that you haven't done, that you wish you would have got started, you don't even know your full potential yet. So get started on it because you don't even know what great things that you're able to do. That's it. I had to do it. I couldn't let it stop without this. I had to say that now. I had to say it. All right. I guess that's it. I can't see it. Kendra, you good?
I'm good, man. I just went on. I just followed Keon on Facebook,
Okay.
so I would encourage everybody to follow him.
Yeah. He gave you some good stuff. So, if nothing else, then we'll see everybody on Thursday. I don't know the topic yet, but it'll be something great. I know. And we'll have the event so you can know the title ahead of time and join us in the Take the Journey group. And we'll see everybody on Thursday.
All right, see you then.
Have a good one.
All right.